that fundamental obligation that is part of the contract between Allah and the servant while we go about our worldly affairs. On a Friday, the khutbah delivered in, inshallah, a language and themes that people can connect with.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi. Beloved listeners, it is EAVA 102.5 FM, the Ramadan special. How are you? How's it all going? Leicester's looking a bit overcast today here from Evington Road. Bit cold, bit drizzly, bit wet, bit windy. How's the half term going, youngsters? Hope you're not getting under the feet of your mums and dads. Hope you're helping mums and dads out as well, especially with their fasting, and making sure that you're helping out in the kitchen, washing those dishes and preparing those dishes as well. So it is the 24th of Ramadan. We're almost in the home straight now. About 5 or 6 fasting days left. And then it is, of course, yes, the big Eid celebration. And hope you're all looking forward to that. But before then, we've still got about 5 or 6 fasts to do. So joining me in the studio today is our friend and one of the regulars. Picking up from what we had last week and the week before, it is Huzaifa Nosaka from Signature Tax. Assalamu alaikum, Huzaifa.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
How are you?
Alhamdulillah, very well. Yourself?
Yeah, you're looking very slick. I'm liking that sort of, open collar shirt and then the brown suit and the beard and the bald head. Yeah.
Oh, is it?
Looking good.
A lot more different to the,
the usual.
And the ties that
That's it. Yeah. So welcome back. I saw you a couple of weeks ago. It doesn't even seem that long. How's it been going?
Alhamdulillah, not too bad.
Good, yeah, good. And delighted to say, joining Huzaifa from Signature Tax, we've got Steve Deegan, who is the Associate Director at Signature Tax. Welcome, Steve. How are you?
Thank you for your introduction. Yeah, very well today.
Yeah.
Yes, very good, and thank you for the introduction. Yes,
absolute pleasure.
Good.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Yes.
We're going to sort of pick up on what we've been talking about the last couple of weeks. So a couple of weeks ago, we talked about inheritance tax, and then last week, Huzaifa, you talked a bit about... just remind the listeners what it was you talked about, because I wasn't here last week.
So last week we had a half and half show. So half of it I was presenting, where we talked about other areas of tax that we haven't covered.
Tax.
So that was capital allowance, property incorporation, and things like that.
Okay.
And then the second half we discussed Islamic finance.
All right, brilliant. So if we get time today, we'll talk a bit more about that. And also joining us is Kate Ashton, Business Development Lead for Signature Tax. Welcome.
Thank you.
And I understand it's your second day in the job.
It is. So
how's it going?
Straight into radio.
Yeah. Be careful. You've got the boss is listening, so you've got to say all good things about how's it going.
Absolutely. Taking notes.
Great. So, well, listen, thanks for joining us and welcome to Ramadan FM. It's the first time for both of you in the studio, so we are really excited that you're here, and we're also very honoured to have you as our guest. So welcome. Make yourselves at home, and hopefully the listeners will make it worth your while, so you feel like coming back next time as well.
Absolutely.
So, folks, we're going to talk about research and development, and what does this mean for small businesses, SMEs, and there is a little known fact about tax relief for research and development. So just to sort of kick off and inform our listeners, what does research and development mean within the business context, Steve?
Okay. Research and development in terms of tax relief is the area that we specialise in. I would call it the enjoyable side of tax relief.
The fun side of tax.
The fun side of tax. And
if there is a fun side of tax.
If there is a fun side. Tax, there's nothing more certain in life than tax. It can't be avoided, unfortunately. But I work on the fun side of tax, Irfan, insofar as I get money back from HMRC.
So that's what we like to hear.
Yeah. So,
getting the money back from the tax man.
Yeah, it's not always an easy ask, HMRC or the Crown. So effectively, there is an incentive and a tax break that is available to the SME sector that not many company owners are aware of. And what is R&D tax relief? So research and development we're looking for an appreciable improvement or an advance in existing technology. So what does that mean? That means that companies out there that are developing new products or processes, it could be software, it could be products or anything that effectively is not deemed to be off the shelf. So what I'm looking for with my SME client base across the UK is an advance on existing knowledge, and that's a fairly simplistic way of looking at it. So what is knowledge? Is the knowledge out there that you can use to create your products or processes? If it's not out there, are you going through the financial risk of resolving any technical uncertainty that you're trying to fix within the manufacturing process? And what does that mean? Theresa May quite famously last year asked everybody to be more creative and advanced in their thinking, forward thinking.
I think she should have been a bit more advanced in her thinking.
With hindsight, yeah, she should have been thinking of her own area, personal circumstances. And in the throes of Brexit last year, it was a big news. She wanted everybody to be more creative within the UK, so we're going to stand on our own 2 feet. We're still waiting to stand on our own 2 feet. And she just encouraged everybody to be more innovative. What she forgot to mention at that time, I obviously focused on that quite intently, was that there's an incentive available. And the incentive is a tax break.
Okay, great. So we're talking about businesses, small, medium-sized enterprises who are perhaps looking into developing a new product, a new solution, a new piece of technology. If you are involved in that sector, then you can apply for tax relief. So now you're speaking to a complete layperson when it comes to tax, and Huzaifa will vouch for this as well. When it comes to numbers, I think that I'm genetically wrong in my family. So my dad's an accountant, my brother's an accountant.
Wow.
So that I definitely did not get that gene. Thankfully, or maybe not. So
yeah.
In terms of money, what kind of percentage are we looking in terms of your initial outlay in research and development and what you can claim back?
Okay, so in very simple terms, the return that we're looking to achieve for you is 26p in the pound effectively.
Wow.
So for each pound that you're looking to invest in the R&D process, it would equate to 26p in the pound if you're in a profit-making situation. There's a big myth out there that you have to make profit to recover your tax relief. Absolutely not. If you're a loss-making entity, the actual benefit can increase to 33p in the pound.
Okay.
So that's a big uplift, a huge uplift. So if you're loss-making, the company's losing money. It's losing money because of the R&D process. And what we do, we identify and highlight that R&D activity to HMRC with a qualifying project or projects. And we say to Mr. HMRC that this company has gone through the process, we've satisfied ourselves, we're chartered tax advisors, and this company is now entitled to X amount back, Mr. HMRC. They review the paperwork, they review the tax computation, and we've had a 100% success rate in doing so.
So, for example, if a company has spent £100,000
yes.
in research and development and they can qualify this,
correct,
then they are entitled to up to £33,000.
Absolutely, yeah,
wow.
Correct. Now, that we can go back 2 years.
2 years.
Within this.
So it's an annual tax relief.
It's an annual tax relief. So
it's better, doesn't it?
As long as we can demonstrate and we can identify qualifying projects, then we can go forward on that basis to the company. So it's been around for a long time, and thank you for the opportunity for sharing this.
No, thank you for coming in.
It's been around for. How long do you think it may have been around for, this opportunity?
I would say about 5 or 6 years, maybe.
Yeah, so it's been around for 19 years.
19 years?
Yeah, so it's been around a long time. There's a lot of opportunity that's been missed with regards to the company being able to recover their tax relief.
Okay, so you're listening to Ramadan Special on EAVA 102.5 FM. The numbers, if you want to speak to Steve, Kate or Huzaifa, is 0116 212 9324. That's the studio line. Give us a call if you've got something to ask Steve or Kate or Huzaifa around claiming back any sort of tax for your research and development. The text number, if you want to just give us a message, is 07450 925084. So I know, in Leicester, we've got a really good business scene.
Yeah.
And I'm sure, you guys at Signature know all about who the movers and shakers are when it comes to business. None more so than obviously Zed Shake from Clifton, big business there. So, I mean, that's interesting. So, in terms of a company that is doing research or is maybe developing on an existing product, or
Yes.
so say, for example, you're a textiles factory or you're a textiles manufacturer, and you are looking into producing a new type of fabric, would they be able to say, we can claim some money back?
Absolutely. Fabric's a big sector down here. I'm conscious of that in Leicester.
Yeah.
I'm also conscious that there've been a number of inquiries that are bordering on the line of that they don't qualify, but maybe there may be people out there, councils, that would put that forward. So I just want to make that clear that we are chartered tax advisors, and we're not going to be presenting anything that won't really qualify. Fabrics is a difficult subject to really demonstrate the appreciable improvement. As you can appreciate, a fabric that you've imported from India or Asia or further afield, that you've got to appreciably improve the fabric. So the best example I could give you would be swimwear. So there's a lot. I've got two examples actually. Swimwear we do with manufacturers and swimwear. So they're going through the pain and the financial pain of developing swimwear or waterproof wear, or the latest one we've got is a football shorts manufacturer. He's working with Real Madrid into Milan, and he's making self-generating heated football shorts.
So football shorts, as you wear them and you're playing, the shorts heat up.
It's absolutely revolutionary.
Wow.
This idea, and this is, so it's got to be conceptual. It's got to be an advance.
Do you know what, Steve? You were saying shorts that heat up, and I just immediately thought hot pants. I don't know what
Yeah. Oh, you've got an example on there. Yeah.
Thankfully, this is radio, so they can't see what I'm wearing. Okay, but as you were talking,
so it's kind of like that. I have listened to examples where people are getting garments in and they're wholesaling them and they're shipping them into the retail market, but they're not actually doing anything with the garments. So there's no innovation, and we know there's no innovation. So we have to advise our clients that, unfortunately, on this occasion, we can't help them. But they have to go through that financial risk of resolving a technical uncertainty. And what's that technical uncertainty? It can be anything. What do they want to do with that garment? Do they want to make it turn into a pair of shorts itself, which has never been done before? Do they want it to turn into rainwear? Do they want it to turn into a nightgown? Right. Do they want it to have lights in it? It's got to be an advance on existing knowledge, if that makes sense.
Right, okay.
So it's got to be quite strict.
So if you've got a fabric, if you make it, for example, say Teflon coated would be an example of
yeah, absolutely. And it's tested and trialed and tested, and it's proven that there's a different functionality in that fabric.
Right.
So if you're bringing in rolls of fabric, what are you doing? Are you doing different stitching with it, different buttons? Have you found a different function for it?
Okay. So you're listening to the Ramadan special, EAVA 102.5 FM. We have got the wonderful folks from Signature Tax here with us. Signature Tax of Leicester. We've got Steve Deegan, Associate Director, Kate Ashton, Senior Business Development Lead, and Huzaifa Nasaka. Huzaifa, I'm not sure what you do. What is it that you do? Business Development Manager, that's it, of course, yeah. So you're out there sort of moving and shaking, pressing the flesh and sort of scoping out more and more business. So in terms of the businesses then, so hopefully we've got some business owners out there listening right now. And if you have, please give us a call on 212-9324. What's the process of trying to understand whether or not we qualify for this tax break?
Okay, so the incentive will cover any kind of SME business. That there are no restrictions really, as long as we can identify and advance in existing knowledge. It's a great start.
Right.
And how do you do that? Effectively, we just pick up the phone. We speak to potential new clients, and we ask them specific questions, which will help them think about. So what happens often is that somebody's done something slightly different, or they've thought about it over dinner. They've not gone through the financial pain of trying to resolve a technical uncertainty. They've just done something slightly different, which won't qualify. So what do? Pick up the phone to us, speak to us. We can be an advisor to them. If there is R&D, it becomes fairly obvious fairly early on in the conversation, because they know how much effort they've put into creating something. If they've copied something, again, the knowledge is probably out there. They're just copying something. So if it's off the shelf, the idea, it's not innovation. We know what innovation is, and if they've effectively just nicked another idea, then it's not going to qualify really. Although there are areas where within the guidelines it's known as a trade secret. So if people are creating some new ingredients and the texture of the ingredients on the palate or their ability to retain a longer shelf life, we can often talk to them about that, or gluten-free products, et cetera, et cetera. So the number of areas that we work within are quite vast, so the sectors, but the biggest sectors that qualify are engineering and manufacturing, and communications and software.
For obvious reasons.
For obvious reasons, yeah. UK has been a big manufacturing hub and engineering hub for centuries, really. And those are the biggest sectors. You've also got software as a big growth area for the R&D incentive also.
Okay, so I mean, so before we came on air, Steve, you talked about you're a bit of an expert when it comes to this, and you sit on various panels, and you've got sort of access to quite senior people back at HMRC. Is that right?
Yeah. So we are fortunate enough to have a seat on the HMRC Consulting Committee, and effectively that gives me first-hand knowledge on policy legislation. So there was new legislation introduced in the budget last year. So we've been asked to have a look at this and test it, see whether it works before it goes to the general market, and that's to do with fraud that's been going on and how they're looking at PAYE. It's a bit of a complex area, but effectively it gives us first-hand appreciation of changes in policy, and that gives us the ability to advise our clients in the right fashion, in the right manner. So we like to think that we are ahead of the game with regards to an ability to advise our client base correctly.
Okay, great. Thanks for that. So you are listening to EAVA 102.5 FM. Give us a call, folks. This is it's interesting stuff, you know, for someone who's not involved in business or tax. It's amazing what you don't know is out there until you actually ask that question, or somebody says, hey, by the way, did you know that you could qualify for this? So give us a call on 0116 212 9324, or drop me a text 07450 95084. And just as we said, we've got a question coming in for Steve. You mentioned Theresa May in her speech. What does the future look like for R&D credits? Will it end soon? The country can't continue to spend money with no return, surely. Also, would overseas development still count? My business does most of its ingredient development in India, but we are based in the UK. Do these costs fully count? And that's from Yusuf Turner. Thank you, Yusuf. Steve, over to you. I mean, there's a couple of questions in there.
Yes.
So let's break it down. Let's look at the first question about the R&D credits in the future for that.
Yeah, that's thank you for that. The R&D credits, as I mentioned earlier, Yusuf, it's been around for 19 years. So whether they're going to turn the tap off. The incentive comes from Europe in the first instance, so there are questions over that.
Not for much longer.
No, not for much longer, no. But the last meeting we attended with the HMRC Consulting Committee was in March up in Manchester. The next one's down in Parliament in September, I think. But I'm not a politician, and I don't claim to be a politician, but by virtue of the fact that we have got to keep at the forefront of technology in the UK. If not, we sink or we swim. And we have to swim to survive. We have to keep building technology. We have to keep creating and advance. We have to keep innovating. So we have to incentivize the SME sector to do that.
Think about, the potential of leaving Europe within the next 6 months or whenever that's going to happen. Surely we as a nation, as a government, we have to encourage entrepreneurs, we have to encourage innovators, the big creative thinkers to actually say, it is worthwhile pursuing your idea. Absolutely,
because the second point is the country can't continue to spend money with no return. Absolutely. Where's the incentive? I think it will get stronger, is my personal belief. However, I'm not a politician and I don't set the policy. I work with the policy makers. But we need to be innovative going forward. It goes without saying.
Okay, so going on to Yusuf's second part of his text message around overseas development. So he's doing a lot of R&D abroad, but he's UK based. How does that work?
Okay, so within the elements of where we can recover the spend, subcontractor is an element that we can work with our clients on. So a lot of the knowledge is overseas. So I have a lot of clients that are the criteria, the expectation is that it's a UK tax-paying limited company. And that's the first obstacle. A lot of their knowledge will come overseas by virtue of subcontracting that knowledge into the company. So a lot of my clients are subcontracting companies in India, China, America, these kind of big continents. And so HMRC accept the fact that that knowledge is brought into the UK. And so we can accept subcontractor invoices. So if your ingredients or the preparation or the prototype is created overseas, that will not prevent you from making the R&D claim.
So as long as you can prove that you've invested into that research and development.
Yeah, as long as there's a project and there's identifiable expenditure, then it's absolutely fine.
Brilliant. So Yusuf, if you're listening, well, I hope you still are listening. If that answers your question, great. And feel free to get in touch with the guys and gals at Signature Tax. So we've got a couple of minutes before we're going to break. It is the 102.5 FM Ramadan special on EAVA. Get in touch, 07450 tax is exciting, tax is fun, and Steve is proving that for us right now as we speak. I think we'll pick up a bit more about the R&D side after the break, if that's okay.
Yeah,
but I just want
fine.
to sort of come to Kate and Huzaifa, if that's all right. So Kate, second day in the job.
Cheers.
What are you going to be focusing on sort of going forward?
Mm-hmm. So I'm looking to work with businesses nationally and engage with them, and I'm quite open to them contacting me and giving me a call to to see if they may be eligible for R&D tax relief, and I can certainly kind of give you my email address and my phone number if that would
Great stuff.
help.
Yeah, we'll do that towards the end if that's okay. We'll give all
yeah.
your details out as part of the wrap up. But no, so obviously you must be very excited to be joining Signature Tax.
I am.
Get to work with Huzaifa.
Yes.
Who wouldn't want that? Hey, Steve and Huzaifa.
Steve and I have visited some Leicester-based businesses today who have got some exciting stuff going on, haven't they? And,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, some good meetings today in Leicester.
Yeah,
very good meetings.
So you travel nationally. Is there any particular parts of the country that you cover, or is it the whole country?
National. I'm national. So
I'm in London next week. Glasgow. I work with Strathclyde University.
Okay.
So I'm doing presentations to them. We'll talk about that after. But the incubator companies and the new startups we talked about, we can have a chat about that later.
Oh, it sounds so exciting. Like when you mention startups and all these kind of, a lot of people have got very sort of. I wouldn't say they're going through it with rose-tinted spectacles, but they've got a clear vision about what they want to achieve and how it's going to revolutionise that particular industry they're in. And
but there's a reward for that. And this is the idea today, just to share that knowledge that we've got.
Okay, so before we go for the break, you mentioned about, does company size affect whether or not you qualify for the R&D?
No, there are two sides. There are two incentives, one for the SME sector and one for the larger sector, which is over 500 employees, and there are two other criteria with regards to net worth of the company, which is 86 million euros or thereabouts. So that's the RDEX scheme, which is the larger value scheme, which gives a lesser return. So predominantly it's the SME sector that benefits from this incentive. So in answer to your question, no, there can be one person. We deal with a lot of one-man companies up to PLCs.
Yeah. Okay. So I suppose the smaller you are, the greater, I suppose, leg up you need to get to where you need to be.
Absolutely, yeah. But then the cost, the minimalistic costs make it probably not worthwhile for both sides to go down that road, because it is a bit of a lengthy process.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Great stuff. Brilliant. So, folks, you were listening to Steve and Kate from Signature Tax. It is EAVA 102.5 FM. We'll be going for a break in the next few seconds, but when we come back, we're going to talk more about the research and development tax breaks. We'll be speaking a bit more with Kate and with Huzaifa around your Islamic finance questions. So stay tuned. We'll be back after these messages. Thank you.
Medina is often referred to as Al-Madinatul Munawwara, the enlightened city. The source of its light wasn't electric or unnatural. The Prophet's mosque wasn't lit up by lamps until after he'd left this world. It was during the caliphate of Umar ibn al-Khattab that the first torch was burnt in Al-Masjid al-Nabawi. But Medina earned the distinctive title of the enlightened city, Al-Munawwara, because of the light that shone brightly in the hearts and minds of its inhabitants.
So, what does a model centre look like?
Well, it has to be at the heart of the community.
Yeah.
And being at the heart, it has to engage with all parts of the community. So ideally, a model centre establishment would be one that draws in and is appealing to the young and the old, men and women, people of different generations and different cultural and ethnic backgrounds. But very importantly, one that's not just restricted to the Muslim community.
Yeah.
One that really can engage with and help us discharge our obligations towards wider society.
Yeah. There's so many attractions here in the city. Why bring Islam or Muslims here?
A city centre is a very busy, bustling place. It's a place where people of every background interact for reasons usually of the dunya. People can buy and sell, people come together and check out the sites. And we're drawn together by the humanity that exists within all of us, black and white, young and old. In every city around the country, at this moment, there is a significant Muslim presence that we number in tens and thousands. Seeing a hijabi on the street or someone dressed in a thobe is commonplace now in most cities of our country. And yet, we take for granted that wider society actually knows who we are and what we're about.
What we are. Yeah.
We need a place for people of all backgrounds to be able to come in, to enjoy the hospitality of a cup of tea or coffee and good discussion.
Yeah.
Where people are free to be able to ask questions and explore that rich, vibrant heritage.
Muslims and non-Muslims.
Muslims
as well.
and non-Muslims.
And wider community.
Absolutely, because very often our own youth, our own young girls and boys, and not so young, have a disconnect. Every city in this country needs a place like that, a place that brings down the walls that divide communities, builds bridges, allows people who share a space to start sharing one another's sacred spaces too. But where could we do that?
I've got good news for you. Follow me.
Okay.
So where are we going to put this beautiful centre? Right in the heart of Leicester, here in the town centre. The Corn Exchange. This is where all the trade takes place in Leicester. You can see behind us, busy, bustling marketplace, amazing place to actually have engagement and have dialogue. That's one of the reasons why we're setting up our centre in the heart of town here. As you can hear, lots and lots of people calling out, lots of people calling to various things. Buy this, buy that. What about finding out about the faith of Islam in this environment? Isn't that just amazing? I think so.
Aisha, our mother, radiallahu anha, appointed her maidservant. She said to her, when anybody comes to the home seeking sadaqah, give them whatever we have to give. Then listen to see what do they say. And if whatever they say to you, say it back to them. So a person came and said, is there anything that you can give in sadaqah? And they gave dates. The person said, Jazakillahu khairan. And the servant said back, wa jazakallahu khairan, Allah reward you. So why are they thanking the person they've just helped? Because we haven't helped you, we've helped ourselves. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to cleanse our soul a little bit of greed and to grow a little bit in nearness to Allah and to become richer by having the opportunity to share. This is a small and humble center that we pray and turn to Allah Azza wa Jal. He makes a means of this good, a good for replenishing the soul and for reaching out to others, sharing the beauty that Allah has bestowed upon us, because we are answerable to Allah if we fail to do that. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. The idea behind the city retreat is, as its name suggests, to create a third space, a place of calm, a place of reflection, a place to take sanctuary from some of the hustle and bustle and grind of everyday life. There's a need to have a haven for people to be able to take a bit of a break from the usual rat race and spend some time in nourishing not just the body but also the heart and soul. We hope to create a cafe here which offers the opportunity for just that, a place that's open to everybody, non-judgmental. Anybody who's in town, and we have something like 53,000 Muslims working in the city centre on any working day of the week, can pop in and make salah. Men and women, if you're out here shopping, it's a great place to stop to make sure you don't miss that fundamental obligation that is part of the contract between Allah and the servant while we go about our worldly affairs. On a Friday, the khutbah delivered in, inshallah, a language and themes that people can connect with. We'll also give...
Welcome back. Assalamu alaikum. It is EAVA 102.5 FM, the Ramadan special. Joining me today is Signature Tax, and we're kind of building upon what we've been speaking about with Huzaifa and his colleagues over the last 2 weeks. Huzaifa, I know you're keen to hear from our listeners if they've got any Islamic finance related questions, not zakat, but anything to do with Islamic finance. So give us a call on 212-9324 or drop Huzaifa a text here in the studio on 07450 925-084. So kind of building upon what we talked about last week, yes?
That's right. So for the last couple of weeks, we've been having a lot of questions come through for Islamic finance, especially when it comes to property purchases, banks, and sort of criterias. So happy to answer any more questions regards to Islamic finance as a general subject, or in regards to any property questions.
And brilliant. I think at this point, if you guys want to give your details, so Huzaifa, what's the number for the office, and then we'll take your email addresses as well.
Okay, so the office number is 0333 009 0801. My mobile telephone number is 07885 810 471.
And Kate, you want to give your details as well, please?
Sure. So businesses can contact me on 07709 646 886 or email kate.ashton@signaturetax.co.uk.
And Steve, finally you, my friend.
Yeah, okay, so mobile number 07921 841 724, and my email address is steve.deegan, DEIGHAN, @signaturetax.co.uk.
Great stuff. So we're talking money, and I know everybody loves money, almost as much as they love their food. So before the break, we were talking about R&D, and you mentioned a couple of projects that you're working with some organisations nationally. Steve, do you want to tell us a bit more about those?
Yeah, sure. Well, we've got lots of examples, really. We cover anything from renewable energy, power plants. A real exciting project I'm working on now, which the listeners might resonate with, is a mangrove plantation in Pakistan.
A mangrove. Okay, yes. Tell us more.
Okay, so I'm working with a client that is developing mangroves in Pakistan with the Pakistan government. So in answer to the question earlier, a lot of the development's overseas, but the company's UK based and tax paying. And so they're creating carbon footprints naturally for the emissions that the airlines are creating, and it's going to be showcased, we think, in America at the end of this year. So I can't say too much, but it's just a real exciting project that hasn't been. It's called a Paris Agreement, which is creating a model to buy and sell carbon credits.
Okay, so really exciting stuff,
Yeah.
and if you haven't yet got your advice on R&D, give Steve and Kate a call. And another text coming through: if Al Rayyan don't provide loans, where are Muslims supposed to get halal finance from? I think that's to you, Huzaifa.
Well, being a sensible provider of finance in the country, you have to meet certain criteria when it comes to financing or lending, as they would say in a conventional banking industry. There are going to be criteria which you have to meet. As long as you meet the criteria, I'm sure Al Rayyan Bank would provide Islamic finance. There are other Islamic finance providers in the country, however, they don't provide directly to the public. You would have to go through a broker or a partner. And at Al Rayyan and at Signature Tax, we have that relationship with many Islamic finance providers. So we could provide, contact details to these other banks in the UK, that kind of system. But what our listeners need to remember is that every bank has a right to be sensible when it comes to financing.
Yes, because that's how we got into this mess in the first place 10 years
exactly.
ago, right? Yeah.
So as long as you meet the criteria, any bank will provide you finance.
Okay, great. So whoever that was in the text, thank you for your text, and I hope that answers your question. Now, so let's go a bit more about the R&D stuff. So we are talking about research and development. So if you are a business involved in looking at an innovative new solution or product or technology, whatever it is that you think will revolutionize the industry you're in or revolutionize life as we know it, get in touch. We've got Steve and Kate from Signature Tax, and Steve is the go-to person on claiming money back. So Steve, you're a bit of a special guy because you're not asking for money, you're giving money back.
Absolutely, yeah. So I call it the fun side of taxation.
The fun side of taxation, yeah, baby.
If there is a fun side of taxation. So I deliver good news on a very regular basis. From the starting point where the client doesn't know anything about this, but they're doing it subconsciously. They're doing it because they want to keep ahead of the competition. So they're investing in their future. And when I come along and say, well done for investing in the future, the government are going to support you, they think it's too good to be true.
Yeah.
It's actually legislation.
So why is this not made clear when people are starting businesses or, they're about to embark on this new sort of research journey?
It's a very, very good point. So I do knowledge shares around the UK with tech hubs, so incubator companies. I'm currently working with Strathclyde University. It's a huge innovation centre up there in Scotland. I'm very proud to be associated with them, working with their incubator companies that they've created.
So when you say incubator companies, for those of us like me who don't understand all this business, what do we mean by an incubator?
It's brand new companies that started up. So that they're going through the R&D process, predominantly loss making because they haven't monetized their invention yet or their creation. And it helps them. It's an inflow of cash that the government want you to reinvest back into the business, and the cycle starts again.
So it's a bit of a Dragon's Den type incentive. If the idea is good, well, the idea doesn't have to be good, but if you can demonstrate that you are striving towards making a difference, then the government will say, "Here you go."
Absolutely. I probably won't relate us to Dragon's Den because a lot of those clients get knocked back.
Yeah. Okay.
So I
but
try.
If it's there to kind of boost the business into giving it a leg up.
It's to boost the economy and boost the SME sector. Yeah, absolutely. So it's incentivizing you to, as you say, revolutionise the area that they're in. So that could be software development, app development, advancing technology. Any walk that, as long as they're appreciably improving their existing knowledge, then we'd like to talk to them.
Okay, so you are listening to Ramadan Special on EAVA 102.5 FM. The number to dial is 212-9324. Kate, let's come to you now for a second. Obviously, very sort of new to Signature Tax. Is there anything you wanted to sort of add on what Steve's already told us?
Not really. I think we've covered most things other than some eligibility criteria, really. So something came up in a meeting this afternoon. A business was going to refer into us, and they weren't a limited company or paying any tax. So I think they were a charity. So that kind of business wouldn't be eligible.
Right.
They'd need to be a limited company.
A limited. So that is, I suppose, the one main eligibility assessment criteria.
They have to be. You have to pay tax to get it back.
Yeah.
Or you have to be on the hook for tax. So if you're loss making, you're not paying tax. So you have to be. It's what I call a UTR, a unique tax reference
I've just handed my company accounts in, so I know all about UTRs.
Yeah.
Searching for those numbers. They don't make it simple, do they?
No, they don't. I mean, it is complex, but the conversation that Kate alluded to earlier was it was a listed building. and they'd spent about £5 million on ripping it apart and putting new floor joists in. And I like working with listed buildings because a lot of listeners may well be property developers,
Right.
but that's okay. But we're quite restricted with regards to innovation in say you're building 5 semi-detached houses, because you're restricted through the building regulations. If you're dealing with a listed building, the knowledge isn't often there
Right.
in being able to knock that apart and,
Yeah.
and put it back to the condition that you wanted to put it back to because of the materials that you're using or what's behind what you're actually demolishing in the first place. So with listed buildings, there is often an advance in existing knowledge. When you're building a batch of semi-detached houses, you're going to use contemporary materials, unless you're going to revolutionise it again and introduce a new insulation or a new window mechanism or a new brick or a new mortar or a new anything, then they will often qualify. But if you're a jobbing builder that's going to build a couple of houses, then you're often going to be guided by building regulations.
Okay, so let's talk a bit more about the criteria and the assessment, I suppose, for being an R&D. I mean, is it a big form-filling exercise that they have to jump through?
No,
any
it's not.
hoops or
It's quite.
how does it work?
It's quite slick, really. We do all the work, in all honesty. We do all the work. So I suppose when you're dealing with government departments, it is a quasi-grant that they're giving you, if you think about it. And people will have experience of grant finding, and it's just a quagmire, absolute quagmire of even if you want £5,000 of a grant, you've got to jump through so many.
Okay,
Yeah,
brilliant. We're
so
just going to
many
go to the text now very quickly. Al Rayyan only provide finance to purchase houses. They do not provide finance for other needs. For example, a general loan. Where do Muslims go for this type of finance? Mr. Nosaka, over to you.
Okay, Al Rayyan Bank, or IBB, how it was known before, used to provide personal finances. However, as you know, the bank is regulated like all the high street banks. Unfortunately, the Islamic finance mechanism wasn't good enough for the regulators. Therefore, they had to, stop selling the product. So until we can't satisfy the regulators, an Islamic finance or a personal finance product will not be available.
Right.
Currently, there isn't anyone in the market that supplies this. Unfortunately, it is something that we'll have to work towards as more and more Islamic bank comes into the country. There's more and more demand. Hopefully, the regulators will relax their criteria for this sort of product, and we'll be able to launch one. But at this moment in time, it's very difficult.
So, how far off, I mean, do you think Islamic finance is from being able to offer such products and services to the Muslim community?
Well, I guess it works in both ways.
Yeah.
Regulators will have to sort of relax their requirements for this sort of product to exist in an Islamic finance or Sharia compliant way. At the same time, the Sharia scholars, the Sharia supervisory teams, they will have to come up with a solution as well at the same time. So it's the Sharia supervisory, the board, as well as the regulators working together to create something that fits the Sharia compliance or the Sharia rules, and it fits the regulators' requirements as well.
And do you think there'll be some sort of premium attached to taking out a personal loan that is Sharia compliant, as we see with the home purchase plans that are available at the moment?
Well, initially, I reckon it will be slightly more
Yeah.
expensive. And the reason why, as explained previously as well, is the cost of financing that the bank has to pay for is always going to be higher than a conventional bank, primarily because the bank cannot go to the money market like the conventional banks do and get funding at a wholesale rate. Islamic banks will always finance through utilizing their customer savings, so they have to pay the customers a return, which means that it's costing them a lot more than a
Right.
wholesale market.
Okay, so whoever that was on the text, I hope that answers your question. Thanks, Jose, for that. So we've got about 10 minutes left of the program, folks. Interesting point you made about tax-paying companies,
Yes.
Steve. And there's been a lot in the news over the last few years around the big mega corporations that sort of very cleverly work their books to not pay as much tax around that. I mean, a lot of the small companies there are sort of, they're setting up, they're doing everything by the book, and they are paying a lot more tax than comparatively than what these big businesses are. Can the government do anything else other than the R&D breaks to sort of support businesses in terms of their tax outgoings? We'll answer that, then we'll go to text.
Yeah, so I mean, it's there's a number of questions in one question there. I mean,
sorry,
they've got the best tax advisors in the world that are setting up shell companies in the UK that are only paying the minimal amount of tax. Now, the government would have to change the legislation to actually get around that, in my opinion. Whether they're going to do that, they're not making much progress in my eyes, because the big Googles and Amazons of this world aren't paying their way as such. They're taking all the profit out, but they're not paying the tax.
Okay.
So it would be a legislation change, I would have thought, in my eyes.
Okay, so we had a question come in. So let's say someone has an idea for a software application. When claiming for R&D, what would you actually be claiming for? Can you claim for the time you spend developing it, for example? So that's not... Oh, okay.
Yeah, okay. So, yeah, of course. So there are 5 areas that you would look to claim for within an R&D claim. The first one being labour. So the amount of time that you would spend on that. If you're taking dividends, it's a tax-efficient way of taking money out of the business. So we can only claim for who is on the payroll, first and foremost. And we apportion the amount of time that you've realistically spent on that business. So if you're the MD of that business, you've got to be running the business as well as developing an app, or are you subcontracting that knowledge? So will you go to a software house to build the app for you? We need to understand what the platforms are, the algorithms behind it, whatever technology has gone on behind it. Is that your own knowledge that you've spent the financial risk on? Or have you gone to someone else and paid them the subcontractor invoice? So primarily it would be the labour costs. So whoever's in the company on the payroll, we would have a look at those costs and put them into the computation.
Okay, so thank you very much for that. Another text: Islamic mortgages are a joke. It puts you in more debt than a conventional product. I think, Jose, you've already answered that, but just go over that again.
Again, there's a lot of misconception that Islamic mortgages or Islamic finance works out a lot more expensive than conventional mortgages, which is in fact not true. Conventional mortgages will have a rate that they advertise, and then there's an overall rate which is significantly higher. With Islamic financing, the rates are transparent from the beginning, so you get a rate and they'll explain to you what that rate will be. So if it's a fixed product or a discounted product, you'll get a rate, and they'll also inform you what your rates increase to. However, the benefits of Islamic finance, and which we always stress that benefits you more than a conventional mortgage, is that there's options to make lump sum payments. Most of the time it's every quarter, depending on which bank you go with, and there's no early repayment charges. As you know, especially within our Muslim community, family and friends get together, help someone pay off their debts as quickly as possible, then provide them with a qard.
That's right.
So it's a loan without benefit. So what that means is that you can pay your finance off quickly without incurring penalties and make a saving, which you won't be able to do with a conventional product, because with conventional you're restricted to how much you can make without being penalized.
Okay, thank you for that. So and obviously Islamic mortgages, they're halal and acceptable. So that's the main reason.
The most important
important reason. So we've got the guys from Signature Tax here with us. We've got Kate Ashton, Steve Deegan, and Josepha Nosaka. Drop us a text on 07450 925 084. We're coming to the end of the show. We've got about 5 minutes left. Coming up after 6, we've got the Wife and Riaz program. So the Wife and Riaz program with Leicester's very own Riaz Khan. Hi Riaz, how are you? Yeah, thumbs up from him, the main man. So he's joining us. He'll be on air after 6. So make sure you stay tuned in. I have no idea what he's got lined up for you after 6, but it's the Wife and Riaz show. Interesting title show. But anyway, another question here. I had an Islamic mortgage, yet when the interest rate went up, so did my payment. Again, it seems to be the same sort of question.
Yeah, so again, with Islamic finance, the rates can go up, down, or stay the same. Yeah. So it doesn't have to go up if the interest rates goes up.
Right.
or they don't have to reduce the rates if the interest rate goes down.
down.
However, what you try and see, what you'll notice is that there's always a period where rates will go up with Islamic when the rate, when the interest rate goes up, because they use it as a benchmark. Now, a benchmark is permissible in Sharia. Obviously, the most important thing is the bank making enough money? If the bank is making money, they may decide to leave it the same. As you know, recently when the interest rates went up, most Islamic banks reduced their rates and further reduced it by another 0.5%. And just last week, there were more reductions. Therefore, it doesn't mean that if the interest rates goes up, the banks will automatically put their rates up. It is a business decision they have to make. But a lot of questions that come across is that why is it benchmarked against the interest rate or the Bank of England's base rate? The problem is, in this country or in Europe, there isn't another form of benchmarking available. The most accurate, the most common, the most accepted benchmark is the Bank of England's base rate. Therefore, Islamic banks are allowed to base their rates.
You've got to use it
according
against
to that.
something, haven't you?
And that's why it's permissible.
Right.
And Sharia has allowed that.
Okay, brilliant. Another question around buildings insurance and home insurance. So, what about halal buildings and home insurances?
Well, there have been companies that have tried it in the past. Unfortunately, it hasn't worked for whatever reasons. So there isn't halal buildings insurance or home insurance available. However, I do believe that another company will be coming out soon with halal insurances.
Okay, so hope that answers your questions, folks. Thank you very much. We've got about 3 minutes left before we go off air, so let's hand it back to Steve. Steve, other than the R&D tax breaks, what other tax breaks or sort of money saving opportunities should new businesses or small businesses be looking at?
Yeah, well, I only really want to promote really the R&D tax relief. So there are grant finance out there. There are grant finders for you that I can put you in touch with. I am from a banking background, but it's very hard now to get funding from the primary banks. You're looking at the secondary banks on the SME finance, if that was your question. Capital allowances, if people are knocking around buildings and that, talk to us about a tax break on the capital allowance side of things. I don't actually specialise in that, but Jose from on my right does. So yeah, that's basically it really off the top of my head.
Okay.
On the tax side.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So Kate will give you, I suppose, one last word before we go off air. So first of all, good luck with the rest of your sort of career with Signature Tax, and I hope it's a long, productive and fruitful one. Anything else you want to sort of just add in closing?
Yeah, really excited to connect with businesses that may be listening, and ask for them to give me a call. If they're unsure about eligibility, with a whole team that can look into the potential claim for them, and I will certainly support those businesses and see if we can maximise the claim for them.
Great stuff. And Huzaifa, we've got about a minute and a bit left. Is there anything else you want to tell our listeners in relation to sort of Islamic finance, or what they should be looking at in terms of any sort of smart money saving tips?
Well, what people tend to forget is I no longer work for Islamic financing in bank, so I don't work for Rayan Bank anymore. I do work for Signature Tax.
Yes.
And I am the local rep here in Leicester. So if there are any tax-related queries, feel free to contact me. I've given my number, and I'm sure Akil will put it back on, on Facebook page as well.
And you're on LinkedIn and all the other platforms. And I'm on LinkedIn. As well, yes.
Yep. So I'm easily contactable. And yeah, so we can still help you with Islamic finance, but I'm with Signature Tax now, so my primary aim is to help our clients save tax.
Save money on tax. Okay, brilliant. So listen, thank you guys for joining us today. Wish you a great rest of the week, and wish you Eid Mubarak in advance, Huzaifa. I hope that's been useful. I've certainly learned a lot. So the next time I'm deciding to change the world with a new superhero outfit, I'll make sure I claim the tax back on the R&D. But thanks very much. You've been listening to me, Irfan, on this very special finance show. It is EAVA 102.5 FM Ramadan special. Coming up is the Wife and Riaz show. Assalamu alaikum.
Medina is often referred to as Al-Madinatul Munawwara, the enlightened city. The source of its light wasn't electric or unnatural. The Prophet's mosque wasn't lit up by lamps until after he'd left this world. It was during the Caliphate of Umar ibn al-Khattab that the first torch was burnt in Al-Masjid al-Nabawi. But Medina earned the distinctive title of the enlightened city, Al-Munawwara, because of the light that shone brightly in the hearts and minds of its inhabitants.
So, what does a model centre look like?
Well, it has to be at the heart of the community.
Yeah.
And being at the heart, it has to engage with all parts of the community. So ideally, a model centre establishment would be one that draws in and is appealing to the young and the old, men and women, people of different generations and different cultural and ethnic backgrounds. But very importantly, one that's not just restricted to the Muslim community.
Yeah.
One that really can engage with and help us discharge our obligations towards wider society.
Yeah. There's so many attractions here in the city. Why bring Islam or Muslims here?
A city centre is a very busy, bustling place. It's a place where people of every background interact for reasons usually of the dunya. People can buy and sell, people come together and check out the sites, and we're drawn together by the humanity that exists within all of us, black and white, young and old. In every city around the country, at this moment, there is a significant Muslim presence that we number in tens and thousands. Seeing a hijabi on the street or someone dressed in a thobe is commonplace now in most cities of our country. And yet, we take for granted that wider society actually knows who we are and what we're about.
What we are. Yeah.
We need a place for people of all backgrounds to be able to come in, to enjoy the hospitality of a cup of tea or coffee and good discussion.
Yeah.
Where people are free to be able to ask questions and explore that rich, vibrant heritage.
Muslims and non-Muslims.
Muslims
as well.
and non-Muslims.
And wider community.
Absolutely, because very often our own youth, our own young girls and boys, and not so young, have a disconnect. Every city in this country needs a place like that, a place that brings down the walls that divide communities, builds bridges, allows people who share a space to start sharing one another's sacred spaces too. But where could we do that?
I've got good news for you. Follow me.
Okay.
So where are we going to put this beautiful centre? Right in the heart of Leicester, here in the town centre. The Corn Exchange. This is where all the trade takes place in Leicester. You can see behind us, busy, bustling marketplace, amazing place to actually have engagement and have dialogue. That's one of the reasons why we're setting up our centre in the heart of town here. As you can hear, lots and lots of people calling out, lots of people calling to various things. Buy this, buy that. What about finding out about the faith of Islam in this environment? Isn't that just amazing? I think so.
Aisha, our mother, radiallahu anha, appointed her maidservant. She said to her, when anybody comes to the home seeking sadaqah, give them whatever we have to give. Then listen to see what do they say. And if whatever they say to you, say it back to them. So a person came and said, is there anything that you can give in sadaqah? And they gave dates. The person said, Jazakillahu khairan. And the servant said back, wa jazakallahu khairan, Allah reward you. So why are they thanking the person they've just helped? Because we haven't helped you, we've helped ourselves. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to cleanse our soul a little bit of greed and to grow a little bit in nearness to Allah and to become richer by having the opportunity to share. This is a small and humble center that we pray and turn to Allah Azza wa Jal. He makes a means of this good, a good for replenishing the soul and for reaching out to others, sharing the beauty that Allah has bestowed upon us, because we are answerable to Allah if we fail to do that. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. The idea behind the city retreat is, as its name suggests, to create a third space, a place of calm, a place of reflection, a place to take sanctuary from some of the hustle and bustle and grind of everyday life. There's a need to have a haven for people to be able to take a bit of a break from the usual rat race and spend some time in nourishing not just the body but also the heart and soul. We hope to create a cafe here which offers the opportunity for just that, a place that's open to everybody, non-judgmental. Anybody who's in town, and we have something like 2,000 to 3,000 Muslims working in the city centre on any working day of the week, can pop in and make salah, men and women. If you're out here shopping, it's a great place to stop to make sure you don't miss that fundamental obligation that is part of the contract between Allah and the servant while we go about our worldly affairs. On a Friday, the khutbah delivered in, inshallah, a language and themes that people can connect with will also give people the opportunity to discharge an obligation without having to travel outside of the city centre. But being a musalla isn't the primary function of the retreat. Muslims need to make salah, and so of course we have to have somewhere that offers that with comfort and convenience. But the vision, the idea behind the retreat is about so much more. We want the retreat to be a place where everybody can come in and share in that. If you had a friend who was interested, inquisitive about Islam, where could you take him? Most people wouldn't feel confident, perhaps, or comfortable walking a non-Muslim friend, especially if they're a female, into your average masjid setup. This is outside of the heart of the Muslim community in order to try to get into the heart of mainstream communities. So the city retreat, as it currently stands, comprises mainly of this hall. For the time being, it's used on a Friday as a musalla, but on other days of the week we have various activities. Some of these are geared towards wider society, others towards helping out and supporting members of our own community whose needs have often not been fully met, whether that's women, whether that's converts and new Muslims, whether that's people with relationship problems and who are in need of counselling and support. We also have a basement that has a great deal of potential but will also take a great deal of investing to bring it up to speed. Classrooms, a recording studio, a library, wudu facilities can be housed in the basement downstairs. The courtyard is a beautiful enclosed space, really epitomizing what the city retreat is about. This opens up not only to the basement downstairs, but adjacent to this hall we have 3 shop fronts. 1 or 2 of those will become part of the city retreat cafe, inshallah. This can only happen by the tawfiq and the acceptance of Allah Azza wa Jal, that He blesses this effort, that He blesses these efforts and this humble initiative, and then by the support of you out there, our brothers and sisters, to join us in this. That's not just financial support. We need you, our brothers and sisters of Leicester's community, to come together to help us create a warm, loving and comfortable environment, a place for sharing and of exploring, a place for discussion and dialogue, a place that's built on concern, not on judgment. Please come and help us in any way that you can, and not least of all through your dua and paying us a visit, joining us for a cup of tea and maybe a salah sometime. Jazakumullahu khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Medina is often referred to as Al-Madinatul Munawwara, the enlightened city. The source of its light wasn't electric or unnatural. The Prophet's mosque wasn't lit up by lamps until after he'd left this world. It was during the Caliphate of Umar ibn al-Khattab that the first torch was burnt in Al-Masjid al-Nabawi. But Medina earned the distinctive title of the enlightened city, Al-Munawwara, because of the light that shone brightly in the hearts and minds of its inhabitants.
So, what for the community? So ideally a model centre establishment would be one that draws in and is appealing to the young and the old, men and women, people of different generations and different cultural and ethnic backgrounds.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome to Ramadan special on EAVA FM on 102.5 FM. You can also listen to us online on www.ramadan.fm or on Facebook Live on Ramadan I believe it's called, or is it Ramadan FM on Facebook Live? Ramadan FM on Facebook Live. Right, it's the it's the wife show today with me and my
Assalamu alaikum.
wife.
Wife.
Mariam. What's today's subject, Mariam? You know what? I wasn't even going to come in today because I was sick last night. 1 hour before iftar, I had a really bad stomach pain. Really, really bad. And I didn't hardly eat last night. So I've been really, really ill. And I was going to cancel the show today, but she had a hissy fit. So I could not cancel it. So I'm here by force. Okay, so I'm here by force.
You love being on the air.
No, I've got a headache. I'm here by force. I'm going to let you do all the talking. Okay.
No.
What's today's subject?
So today we're talking about stress and how we...
Oh my God, stress. I'm stressed out right now because of you. We're talking about stress. Okay, good.
And how we can deal with stress in our everyday lives and maybe having an Islamic perspective on it as well. So how we deal with stress.
Okay, the only way I can deal with stress is to walk away from you.
Yes.
Okay, we've got a couple of messages. Salams from Asif. Wa alaikum salam.
Welcome. Salam.
Maria says Miriam looks so not bothered.
Oh, when he's talking about... Yeah,
Yes, she's never
he's having a
bothered.
pity party.
Never bothered. You know what I mean? And yes, okay. So any messages, please, you can ring in on 0116 212 9324 if you want to discuss about stress, because I need some advice. Counselling. Or you can text us on...
Yusuf, look, isn't he all the way from...
Yusuf Chambers, all in Bangladesh. Salam, Riaz. Wa alaikum salam, Yusuf. Hope you had a nice time over there. Alhamdulillah. From Cox's Bazaar.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Where's that?
In wherever he is.
What do you say? Oh, yes. Like you know where
Because
it is.
he said it on his feed today.
So where's that then? Go on, you said yes.
Where he landed.
Okay, Yusuf, she thinks she knows where you are, but she obviously doesn't. And if you want to text in anybody, Yusuf, we are giving aid to the Rohingya, mashallah.
Yeah,
Allah bless you and protect you and reward you, mashallah. That's a beautiful thing you're doing there, bruv, mashallah. Okay, you can also text on 07450925084. Wonder what it's like out there at the moment, Yusuf. Let's see, you're near the camps. So how is it? The weather, the environment, how are you coping with it all? Yeah, I know it's Bangladesh, Yusuf. You told me a few days ago you're going Bangladesh. Yes. So just tell us what it's like over there. I mean, if you can message and say what it's like, what the situation's like over there, it'd be nice to hear from you. Okay, so stress. I need some relief. Dawood says he's watching. Yes, Dawood, she didn't go with what you asked us to talk about today. She goes, no. So that was the answer. Don't look at me shocked, because that's what you said. He goes, no.
What
Stuff, Dawood, you said.
No, I
Forget
did not.
that. We're doing our own thing.
Don't believe him. Don't believe a word. So how do we manage stress? So we know a lot of us have stress in our daily lives, don't
Everybody
we?
has stress.
We're under a lot of pressure.
I'm always stressed.
Yeah, we're running place to place. Time, we don't have time to even fit in sometimes our daily prayers. We're stressed about trying to live
A balanced life.
Yeah, balanced life. And there's so much pressure on just individuals, We're trying to run a family. We're trying to
Work full time.
Raise the children.
Yep, as well.
So there's loads and loads of things that we try and encompass in our daily lives, and we don't realise sometimes we've got this stress building up, anxiety, How many times we go to bed and think, oh my gosh,
I feel like that every day.
Yeah, but
I take one look at you and think, oh my gosh. The stress just builds up when I look at you.
Oh no, I'm just adjusting my scarf. It looks a bit...
Look, so David Garcia says, that's Dawood, says, Riaz washes up all the mess you make to release his stress. I think he's right, actually.
It's good job we're not Greek. He'd be smashing all the plates.
Right there, Dawood. Maybe it releases my stress or makes it more stressful. I don't know which one it does. You know what I mean? So, yes. So let's talk about the first point. What's the first point of stress?
So how do we manage stress on our daily lives? I mean, we know there's all the advice that we can take. So exercising regularly is, one of the main things. I think if you go to your doctors, the first thing they'll say is go and exercise.
You're always training.
I am.
So how can you be
That's
stressed?
I have to. That's my release.
You work,
I have to.
you go training, you come home, you sit there.
I make time for myself, and I have to. That's my release of stress
You
from
don't
my
even cook
day.
anymore.
I do.
You're always training.
I do cook.
David cooks more
See,
than
that's
you.
stress. I bring
Dawood
that.
cooks more than you.
Dawood's been cooking this month.
In Ramadan, yes, he's
alhamdulillah,
been cooking
mashallah,
every single
reward him.
day.
Yes, he's helped me out a lot.
Okay, Yusuf Chambers says, it's hot here, but the fast is shorter. Ends at 6:35. Oh my God, this is ending right about now then. We've got another 3 or 4 hours left, haven't we? Well, 3 hours.
So exercising, we know, is really good.
What sort of exercise? Running, weight training, what?
I think anything that you can manage, every morning, they say it's a good time to exercise 20 to 30 minutes a day. There's lots of advice from the government as well, isn't it, as to what they're saying you should exercise 5 times a week as a minimum, 20 to 30 minutes.
Wow, where'd you get
during
time
that
to do
duration. And, but it does have a really good effect on relieving stress, and it's a good mood stabilizer as well. And I talk with my hands, so I'm going to put them down.
What?
I wave my hands around a lot when I talk.
So that's how you express yourself. Every person does that. I do that. I do that. David Garcia again, the bug, says she is stressed because she has to put up with all your me and myself and our rubbish. Yusuf Chambers says David should cook for you guys. Foghorn Leghorn. That's our nickname for Dawood, Foghorn Leghorn.
So, I mean, it doesn't have to be a specific workout. You could just start with small changes and try and incorporate that. I mean, sometimes it's nice. Early morning you see women going for walks. Walking your children to school. I try and do that when I can. It's really good. We always just dump everyone in the car. But sometimes it's nice to just
rushing, you're always
yeah,
late.
this is it. And it's this. I mean, just to get out of the house in the morning is stress. Yes. Getting the kids in the car.
Gyms are expensive now, if you think about it. But you've got gyms in the park now, which are free.
Yeah. So.
But it's embarrassing when you see women training in the park. Like the old ladies, the aunties.
Because they outdo you.
They look funny. I look and think, oh my God.
They're training harder than you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they look funny though because they got their shilwat kameez on. They're training.
No, it's really good though.
No, it is good, but it's funny as well.
No, I admire women who do that. I think it's great. And then you see, yes, that's right, women's rights.
Okay, yeah. So training's a very important thing to relieve stress. What else?
So that's good. Eating right. So, what do we feed ourselves with? And I'm sure there's been lots. Yeah, we don't eat that. There's been lots of shows on probably about, healthy eating and all the good food that we should put inside our bodies. That helps with us as well,
Fruit and veg, but it's got to be
I know
organic.
a friend, and she'll know who she is, and she says, I eat with my eyes. So, does the food look presentable? Are we just putting that love and care in the food?
What do you mean eat with your eyes?
You make it look nice, don't you?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
But the thing is, we also look at food. It looks nice, like these shiny apples, but in fact they're sprayed with wax to make them look shiny. So is that really good for you? No. The best apples are organic apples, organic vegetables, organic fruit, not this processed stuff because that's bad for you. That can give you illnesses.
I mean,
that can cause more stress.
Even cooking for ourselves. I like cooking. I know, regardless of what Riaz says, I do enjoy cooking, and that I go home from work. And I like to go in the kitchen if I'm not training and make a nice meal. So, cooking things from fresh instead of just banging it in the microwave and doing ready meals. No, we don't have a microwave.
Which Dawood keeps complaining about. I've got a couple of comments here. Rahima says outdoor gyms are fab.
Yep, they
when
are.
No one's looking
They're
at
really,
you.
really
when
good.
No one's looking at you training. They are fab. And,
what's Dawood say?
Dawood, leprechaun should not be seen and not heard, Yusuf, because he calls him because he's Irish. He's leprechaun. Typical Dawood, always at the centre of attention again, me, myself and I.
Okay.
Javid says, nowadays a salad is more expensive than a burger meal.
It is true. And do you know
burger's
what?
99p if you go to the
I know, places. And this is it. We get roped into buying the cheaper option, don't we?
It's about affordability.
But then if we cook for ourselves and try and make things for ourselves. For yourself. I'm just saying in general, then we can try and...
But people have stressful lives. Look, they go work, they come home, they're tired, they don't want to spend an hour cooking and rather get takeaway. It's a lifestyle now. We have a fast life now. So
I
people
know.
coming from work, look, for example, if you work extra hours at work, a couple of extra hours because you had no choice, you're supposed to finish at, say, 5 o'clock. You don't come home till 7, for example. You're not going to stay over a kitchen thingy oven for another 2 hours or an hour and a half while cooking chapatis and curry, are you? So the easy option is to get a takeaway. It takes 20 minutes, comes to your door, you eat, you put all the rubbish away in the bin.
But then we could,
But it's junk.
sometimes we should prepare, for eventualities. I know a friend. She's like really high doctor professor, but on the weekends they do not buy takeaways. She refuses, and she says I will prep all the
That's
meals
right.
and have everything ready for the week. And she's really, mashallah, busy, really.
Well, being a doctor, she's going to be, isn't she?
Yeah, crazy busy doctor, and this is what she does. So, and that's,
Mashallah.
she's feeding her family, but also trying to get that balance
She's
in.
juggling lifestyle.
Juggling everything, but, we've got that provision. I think as a woman as well, I always feel that, yes, you want to lead a professional life, but trying to get in with the, trying to have your sort of, put in your mother's rights as well. That's difficult. Trying to pull it all in.
Yeah.
We want to just tick every single box every day. Do we train? Do we go home? Do we do the kids' homework? Do we cook the meal? Do we clean the house? Do we do the washing? It's all of that in a small amount of time. If you're going to work, how you fit that in as well.
That's why you don't rely on me.
Yeah, it's good to have a good partner, husband or wife. It's
think
called sharing
Do
responsibilities.
you think the husband's roles change now in society, where they become more washing up, cleaning?
They should
hoovering,
help, and I think we
mopping,
touched on that on the last
taking
show.
the kids, dressing
where
the kids,
where
doing their homework? Sorry, I'm just running this.
yeah,
down, which I
good.
do.
Yeah, run the list. When I get you off your phone, I can get you doing all of that. Yeah, so that does help.
So I think the roles have changed now. The
I
man has
think
become more domesticised, haven't they?
No, I don't think.
no,
No,
it's
it's
not a
not
bad thing.
changing roles. It's they're
has,
helping
it's-
out more.
Yeah, but they become more domesticated.
They're moving
now.
away from culture and traditionalism.
Okay, so we've got a couple of messages here. Yusuf James says, seek the night of power, 25th night. Inshallah, if it is tonight, but it's raining and
Yeah.
it's cold, so if it calms down, maybe it is. Javid says, just do the seafood diet, best where you see it.
Yeah, and eat
Food,
it.
you eat it. I used to do that and I got really fat.
Oh,
Muhammad Sadiq says, amazing. Amazing.
I'm done.
Okay.
So when we were talking about eating right, and there are verses in the Quran that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that we should, and eat and drink, but be not excessive. Indeed, He likes not those who commit excess. So,
We always eat excessively.
well, I think Ramadan is probably a prime example of where people do that.
We pig out, don't we?
Yeah, at the end of the
do.
day.
Even when we go to restaurants, we all pig out. Everybody does. We become excessive in our food. We're supposed to have 1/3 food, 1/3 air, 1/3 water, but we have 3/4 of food and 1/4 of water.
I know,
You know what
it's
I
trying
mean?
to stuff it all
We
in
all
the
do it.
first 10 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, I love food. That's a fitna for me. Food is a fitna for me. I just love it, and I get really big and fat from eating it. But that's the only vice I have, really, is food. You know what I mean? What else do I have? Nothing else.
Yeah, I think people's lives do sort of revolve around,
Look how many takeaways we've got on Everton Road.
I know. I was
How many
going to
takeaways we've got on
mention
London
that.
Road? How many takeaways
Subhanallah.
we've got on Granby Street? It's all about food now. We become glutton. What's the word?
Gluttonous.
Gluttonous, yes. We become gluttonous. So it is what it is. Okay, so what else can we do? Okay, apart from eating good, training, exercising.
Sleeping well. Yeah,
What
if we
do you
don't get a
recommend?
good night's sleep. But I know, I'm like, in the last 10 days of Ramadan, we've
It's been
got
difficult.
extra prayers and, we're doing tahajjud and dhikr and things like that. But in our daily normal norm of life as well, if you're not waking up for tahajjud and fajr, you still need to make allowances for that by going bed in time to get the right amount of sleep to rest your body and mind. And I think we're not kind to ourselves. We want to try and get everything in, and it's the pressure of trying to fit all that in to at least get our bodies some rest.
Yeah. Okay. Any questions? You can ring in on. If you want to give a point, you can ring on 0116 212 9324, or you can text on 07450 925084. Ramadan Special EAVA FM on 102.5 FM. You can also listen to us on www.ramadan.fm, or you can come on Facebook on Ramadan FM on Facebook. Okay, we've got some new comments there, but I can't see it because the producer has gone out. We've got a comment on there and I can't see it. We're not the producer now. Huh? Yeah, I think they're asleep. I think they need a good night's sleep as well. Okay, so yes, what's the next thing? So good night's sleep. How do you get a good night's sleep?
Well, going to bed on time. Some of us, you know what? We do see all this about not using our phones and devices at night as well. You know, that's a real big thing. And they say, you know, you shouldn't have this blue light going on like about an hour, 2 hours before going to bed. You know, we're on our phones till late, you know.
I don't know what Dawood's put on there. It's Homer Simpson.
Homer Simpson
moving,
in bed.
Snoring a thing.
Okay.
Taslim Hussein, I'd like to Homer Simpson snoring in bed. Okay. Taslim Hassam says people need to grow fruit and veg at home. It's really easy and organic is the best way.
Good,
absolutely.
good way.
You can get these allotments, you know. You pay 15 quid a week, I think.
Yeah,
like
but there's a long waiting list for the allotments. Get your name down there.
Yeah. Mohammed says balance is key. Absolutely. David Garcia says, oh, here we go. Riaz looks more and more like Homer Simpson with no hair and belly. I'm sure you're the one with the belly, mate. And Mohammed Sadiq said, educate everyone on where to start. Replying to Taslim about growing your own fruit and veg. Very, very. That's the best way to do it, because then you're actually using your hands and you're actually nurturing the seed and nurturing the plants and making it grow, and you feel like you achieved something by doing that.
Yeah, I know a lot of friends at work who do allotments and gardening. I'm not green-fingered at all.
My boss does it. She always brings the bag of fruit and I always take it, bring
it must
it home.
be so satisfying eating from what you've picked from your garden, you know. And we should all strive to do that.
Absolutely.
It's on my sort of wish list, but I'll get there one day. Try and fit that in time. You need time to garden, and that's the other thing, isn't it?
Anyway, so basically, we talked about exercise, sleep, and eating good food. Now the producer's here. He's going to tell me off.
For talking into the top of the mic.
Okay. Can you hear me better now?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't know that. Sorry, folks. So what's the next one?
Well,
She's showing the fist at me now.
I think what we've been doing the whole show, laughter is the best medicine.
Not too much laughter, though.
No, not in excess, but you know, not to the point where you're crying.
Laugh less, cry more. If you knew what's going to happen in the hereafter, you'd laugh less and cry more, basically.
Yeah.
So laughter is a good form of medicine, don't get me wrong, but too much of it is bad for you. Carry on.
Okay.
Stop laughing.
I am. Okay, so I think the other thing with stress is, you know, what do we enjoy is trying to connect with things that we find enjoyment in, and that's in friends and family. So spending time with
friends and family, enjoyment. With family,
yes.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Oh my days. Okay, carry on, go on then.
So, you know, spending time with people we enjoy spending time with.
And my friends like Dawood, I'm not sure about that. Yeah, but carry on, go on. Go on, spending time with friends and family who make you feel good.
Yeah, definitely.
So I need to move away from you and the kids and go into the park by myself and, you know.
Train on the outdoor gym.
And breathe, like this guy says here. Muhammad Sadiq says, what about breathing?
Yeah,
Breathing is very good.
There are breathing techniques that you can do as well.
Absolutely, because when we used to do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu years ago, there was a lot of breathing techniques, and when we used to do martial arts, a lot of breathing techniques. You know, stop knocking the microphone. A lot of breathing techniques to help you, you know, calm the heartbeat and stuff and calm the nerves. Okay, so what's the next one? So how do you get a good night's sleep apart from... If I slapped you a few times, that'd be a good night's sleep? For you?
Might be for you, but not for me.
Okay, what's the next step?
You can try, but I might wake up. I'll just tell you to sleep with one eye open, as I always do.
Yes, well, David Garcia says, at least you know what real friendship is, Riaz, unlike some. We won't go there. That's a very touchy subject for Dawood at the moment.
So it's keeping in touch with people, you know, having some good things to say, hearing good things as well. That helps us sort of. You know, sometimes we get so caught up. Sometimes it's nice for someone to just stop you and say, actually, you know what, you're doing a great job. You're doing so well. And words of encouragement are really, really important in this day and life. You know, how many times do we stop someone and say, you know what, you're doing great?
That's great saying all that, but as Muslims, we always think of the hereafter and we worry about the hereafter. We think, oh my God, you know, the accountability that we have on our backs. We think to ourselves, well, a lot of Muslims, we do have this doom and gloom. Even though we're supposed to have a positive outlook and think, Allah's going to be, merciful and stuff. But we also have this negative outlook. We're going to go for a short commercial break in a second, well, in about 10 seconds. So please join us after the break. If you want to ring in, it's 016-212-9324. If you want to text us on 07450925084. Back in a minute after the break.
Medina is often referred to as Al-Madinat al-Munawwara, the enlightened city. The source of its light wasn't electric or unnatural. The Prophet's mosque wasn't lit up by lamps until after he'd left this world. It was during the Caliphate of Umar ibn al-Khattab that the first torch was burnt in Al-Masjid al-Nabawi. But Medina earned the distinctive title of the enlightened city, Al-Munawwara, because of the light that shone brightly in the hearts and minds of its inhabitants.
So, what does a model centre look like?
Well, it has to be at the heart of the community.
Yeah.
And being at the heart, it has to engage with all parts of the community. Mm-hmm. So ideally, a model centre establishment would be one that draws in and is appealing to the young and the old, men and women, people of different generations and different cultural and ethnic backgrounds. But very importantly, one that's not just restricted to the Muslim community.
Yeah.
One that really can engage with and help us discharge our obligations towards wider society.
Yeah. There's so many attractions here in the city. Why bring Islam or Muslims here?
A city centre is a very busy, bustling place. It's a place where people of every background interact for reasons usually of the dunya. People can buy and sell, people come together and check out the sights, and we're drawn together by the humanity that exists within all of us, black and white, young and old. In every city around the country, at this moment, there is a significant Muslim presence that we number in tens and thousands. Seeing a hijabi on the street or someone dressed in a thobe is commonplace now in most cities of our country. And yet, we take for granted that wider society actually knows who we are and what we're about.
What we are. Yeah.
We need a place for people of all backgrounds to be able to come in, to enjoy the hospitality of a cup of tea or coffee and good discussion.
Yeah.
Where people are free to be able to ask questions and explore that rich, vibrant heritage.
Muslims and non-Muslims.
Muslims
as well.
and non-Muslims.
And wider community.
Absolutely, because very often our own youth, our own young girls and boys, and not so young, have a disconnect. Every city in this country needs a place like that, a place that brings down the walls that divide communities, builds bridges, allows people who share a space to start sharing one another's sacred spaces too. But where could we do that?
I've got good news for you. Follow me.
Okay.
So where are we going to put this beautiful centre? Right in the heart of Leicester, here in the town centre. The Corn Exchange. This is where all the trade takes place in Leicester. You can see behind us, busy, bustling marketplace, amazing place to actually have engagement and have dialogue. That's one of the reasons why we're setting up our centre in the heart of town here. As you can hear, lots and lots of people calling out, lots of people calling to various things. Buy this, buy that. What about finding out about the faith of Islam in this environment? Isn't that just amazing? I think so.
Aisha, our mother, radiallahu anha, appointed her maidservant. She said to her, when anybody comes to the home seeking sadaqah, give them whatever we have to give. Then listen to see what do they say. And if whatever they say to you, say it back to them. So a person came and said, is there anything that you can give in sadaqah? And they gave dates. The person said, Jazakillahu khairan. And the servant said back, wa jazakallahu khairan, Allah reward you. So why are they thanking the person they've just helped? Because we haven't helped you, we've helped ourselves. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to cleanse our soul a little bit of greed and to grow a little bit in nearness to Allah and to become richer by having the opportunity to share. This is a small and humble center that we pray and turn to Allah Azza wa Jal. He makes a means of this good, a good for replenishing the soul, and for reaching out to others, sharing the beauty that Allah has bestowed upon us, because we are answerable to Allah if we fail to do that. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. The idea behind the city retreat is, as its name suggests, to create a third space, a place of calm, a place of reflection, a place to take sanctuary from some of the hustle and bustle and grind of everyday life. There's a need to have a haven for people to be able to take a bit of a break from the usual rat race and spend some time in nourishing not just the body but also the heart and soul. We hope to create a cafe here which offers the opportunity for just that, a place that's open to everybody, non-judgmental. Anybody who's in town, and we have something like 2,000 to 3,000 Muslims working in the city centre on any working day of the week, can pop in and make salah. Men and women, if you're out here shopping, it's a great place to stop to make sure you don't miss that fundamental obligation that is part of the contract between Allah and the servant while we go about our worldly affairs. On a Friday, the khutbah delivered in, inshallah, a language and themes that people can connect with will also give people the opportunity to discharge.
Assalamu alaikum, welcome back to Ramadan special on EAVA 102.5 FM. The Riaz and wife show. Well, the wife and Riaz show. Actually, I've turned it around by accident. So, we're discussing stress, aren't we, my dear?
Yes,
my
we
beloved. My precious.
Sound like something like
Smeagol,
yeah,
yes.
Gollum.
Okay, Gollum, yes. So, we had a comment earlier before we went on a break by Taslim, who says, I find that just going into the garden, watching plants grow, listening to the birds can help with stress and keep you calm. Makes you appreciate Allah's gifts. They say running water, you know, the sound of running water
Do
in
you
a
remember
stream.
when we went Granada?
Yes.
Last year when we went Granada, so what they focused the whole Alhambra Palace around water.
Gardens and water, weren't
yeah,
it?
because of making wudu and things
and
like
stress.
that. So what they done is
Tried to imitate Jannah, didn't they?
Yeah. Can I finish
sorry.
talking? Yeah,
Okay.
thank you. So what they done, so the design, one of the designs were down some steps. If you've been, you'll know what I mean. But the handrail had running water. So as you came down the steps, you put your hands
in it.
into the water.
was
Oh my
lovely,
gosh,
wasn't
it
it?
was amazing.
It was nice cold
But the
water
way
as
they
well, wasn't
designed it was that it was continuous, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So they put some architectural
And being a hot day,
design.
because we was
my
fasting
gosh,
then, weren't
yeah.
we? That cold water in your hands
Oh,
felt
it was
so
beautiful.
nice, didn't it?
And hearing it as you went down
Yeah.
through all the gardens
The
around
birds cheeping.
Granada.
Anyway, we're becoming hippies now. Carry
Yeah.
on.
Okay, but it was
It
really
was lovely.
nice.
It
that
was lovely. Yeah.
Everything was designed around that, wasn't it?
That's how clever that we were in the old days. I don't know what happened to us now.
Beautiful place.
But yeah.
So and
What's the next one?
stress. Yes,
We
were
talked
on
about sleeping
stress.
good,
We
eating
did.
good,
breathing,
exercise,
yeah,
breathing.
yeah.
What's the next one?
Gardening, we've touched
Gardening,
on.
yeah.
Something enjoy and
Growing your own
spending
fruit and
time,
vegetables.
spending time with loved ones.
Spending time with loved
friends.
ones.
So how we also manage our free time. So what we do in our free time, if we have any, you know,
This
that's
busy
the-
lifestyle that
that's
we all
the
have.
thing. Sometimes I sit there and I'm just like, I think I can't, like a lot of people who know me will know that I just don't know how to stop. I'm on the go constantly. And when I do stop, I feel guilty for stopping because I think, oh, I can't not do anything. I must always be doing something. So be it reading, yes,
Okay.
reading, be it, you know, sometimes you want to just switch off, watch something like on telly if you have a television. You
That
know,
rubbish Game of Thrones. Carry on.
that's finished now.
Good. Alhamdulillah.
So it's how we enjoy some of our free time as well. So we need to appreciate that and then use that wisely as well. So how we can do that? So we could, you know, do dhikr in our free time, read some something Islamic,
Read Quran.
learn something, read Quran as well. You know, make time for that. But you know, one of the things I read earlier was, you know, if we read about the struggles of the Sahaba piece, you know, and all the things they went through in their lives, and gained some knowledge in regards to what, you know, how Islam came about as well. You know, our struggles in our daily lives are sometimes minor compared to what
Absolutely.
what the Sahabas are doing. The peace, the Prophet, peace be upon him, his seerah
Yeah.
is so important as well.
Of course.
And sometimes it brings tears to your eyes
Yeah, of
just
course.
to even think all the things that
The
he
struggles
went
they
through.
went through,
Yeah,
yeah.
and all the struggles
Yeah,
they went through.
subhanallah. Okay, anyone would like to ring in? The phone number is 016-212-9324, or you can text on 07450925084. We'd like to hear your... Wake up, Riaz. Yeah, I'm tired. We'd like to hear your opinions on this. We'd like you to ring in and tell us what you do for stress and what you do for, what sort of things you do. David Garcia says, don't think we are allowed to do yoga. Yeah, I think we're not supposed to do it.
I know,
because they do a bit
because
shirk and
it's
stuff.
the salutations, don't
Yeah,
they?
it's a shirky stuff, ain't it? So that's why we don't do it.
I've read up about that, but
Yeah.
there are some that maybe...
You can do 1 or 2 exercises,
Yeah.
the breathing stuff, but not the mantra, whatever you call it. I don't know what you call it.
I know.
I don't think it's allowed.
It's meant to be so good for you as
Yeah.
well. but
Okay,
anyway.
so what's the next one then? You said...
So, again, making good use of your time. So praying
time,
is
yeah.
good. So
Dhikr,
obviously we know.
reading Quran, reading
There's,
Surah.
there's this big focus on mindfulness now, and then you hear about how you should calm your mind, meditate for 10 minutes a day.
That's Salah.
Yeah, but someone was talking about that, and I said, actually, you know what? We do that as Muslims. When we do our dhikr, we're actually meditating. It's not a form of meditation, but for us, we are having that time out, aren't we? Where we're connecting with God, where we're just putting everything behind us. We do that in our 5 prayers every day.
Yeah.
And we probably don't realise we've got these opportunities to
Yeah.
have
Salah is so
mindfulness.
important. That means Salah just switches you away from the dunya, doesn't it? You've got a connection with Allah straight away. Javeed says, Riaz, can you sing us a nasheed as we are all stressed here? No, I think you'd be more stressed if I sang a nasheed. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you would be.
Yeah.
And then I read another article about this woman in her house. She just has a corner where, no one's allowed to disturb her, and she'll just go there to just do her dhikr, read her books, read her Quran. It's nice to have that chill out sort of zone in the house.
We was going to do that in the spare room, weren't we? We was going to have like
yeah.
a little prayer room in there, put Qurans and
And
stuff
some
in
people
there.
have the facilities. They've probably done that as well, haven't they?
We've used it for a bedroom now, haven't we? We was going to do that. Number 4 came along, didn't it? So that got out the window, didn't it? But yeah, that's a really good idea. If you can have a small quarter of your room, you can actually, switch off.
Yeah.
From the world, but then you hear the kids running coming downstairs.
But
making
he
noise.
made it a rule that nobody was allowed to disturb her if she was in that sort of,
That's I don't know. Not with our kids.
No.
No comment by Hamida. Sidat says you don't need to use the mantras. We are taught to do dhikr instead of for your counting for stretching. Okay, good point. Good point. Yeah.
Oh, that's for yoga, I think she's referring
So do you go
to.
to yoga lessons then, Hamida? It'd be interested to know where you go for your yoga lessons. Because then maybe my wife can do it and be less stressed when she comes in from work or comes in from somewhere she's not even listening to me.
I am.
Oh.
I do listen. It's a skill I've attuned now to zoning out and only zoning in on the bits that I need to when you talk.
Like money.
No. So the other thing is managing our time. So we have so much to do in the day, don't we? We have so many tasks to complete. How do we manage our time? And some people get overwhelmed with the amount of things that they have to do.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes people say to me, I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you fit so much in. And I'm just like...
I've got a husband.
Yeah, that. And
that's what you say, don't you?
I don't really think about it. And that's my way of dealing with how I get my task done in a day. Or, there's lots of tools that we can follow and use that help us, task in order of importance. If we get overwhelmed, if you've got a big project to work on, if you've got work-related stress, if we've got exam stress for now, for the kids that are going through, they have a lot of stress as well, a lot of pressure going on at the moment. It's how we manage that well. There's lots of tools that we can use as well.
Okay. Hamida says, on that response to what I asked her, used to go every Monday morning to a ladies' only sessions, but now with the internet you can access plenty of videos from home.
Yeah, I've done some. I mean, it was not yoga per se, but I was doing some stretches. So
yeah, I remember you doing it every morning.
After my fajr, I was doing these just certain moves, and it actually makes you feel so different.
Does it? Didn't make you feel indifferent to me.
It did. Well,
So
that's just
same-
you, just towards
Same
you.
attitude. Anyway, okay.
So, and the Prophet, peace upon him,
Sallallahu
said
alaihi
that there are two blessings which many people lose. They are health and free time for doing good. You know, so a lot of people use their free time for charity work, and there's a lot of that going on at the moment, isn't there, with Ramadan? So
Alhamdulillah.
that's been a
Oh, that
big
reminds
thing.
me. We need volunteers for Sunday
Sorry,
if
I've got
possible.
something in my eye.
Yeah, I was going to say something about this Ramadan, so I'm not going to say.
Yeah.
We need some volunteers for Sunday. Mufti Menk is coming. So if any young people want to volunteer, please give me a shout. Yeah, he's coming on Sunday, Mufti Menk. So if you want to volunteer, please give me a shout, girls and boys. Yeah?
Okay.
So yes, you were saying. You forgot.
make me lose track all the time. This is what I have to deal with. It just jumps.
So you forgot. You've just gone
You'll
silent.
either start talking and then not finish what you were
I didn't know
saying.
what you, I didn't know what
Talk
you said
about
last
something
bit.
else.
What did you say last bit? I can't remember what you
I
said.
was talking
now.
about.
Switched
I
off.
said a really nice.
Oh yeah,
a
wasting
deed
time basically.
about
Yeah.
good health and doing
Good things in your spare
good
time.
things in your
Yeah,
spare
a lot of
time.
people doing
And that's
charity
a lot of
work in
people
this.
are doing.
That's what remember the charity work. You know the. Anyway, go on, Karen. So yes, also what you do in your youth when you still got a strong, your health, your strong body. Yeah, what you do with it. So I'm just mumbling because I'm tired.
Yeah.
Got stomachache.
So
Carry
we'll
on.
go on to our next point, which is being, one of the things that I think we've touched on before, and this was to do with social media as well, is being content with what we have. And a lot of people are being stressed with what we need them to.
Why are you talking really slowly?
Oh, because I was reading at the same time. Sorry. I do
Start again.
apologise. So yeah, sorry. Being content with what you have is something that we should always try and abide by, because, a lot of us are under a lot of pressure.
Mm-hmm.
It's like keeping up with the Joneses, isn't it?
Yeah.
At the end of the day. Or you got some messages.
Okay, volunteer to do what? Do we meet him? Yes, you do meet him. You can volunteer to help out basically with form filling and that sort of stuff with the pens and the papers, and maybe even give out the food, if possible. Dawood says, I'm never doing security for you ever again, lol. I need you Sunday, bruv. Definitely 100%. And you can run the show. Okay, I'm letting you do it. Okay, there you go. Carry on.
Oh my God, they've actually called it the Wife and Riaz show.
Do you know
Sorry,
that?
I've just spotted it.
Oh my
That is so
days.
funny.
Okay, carry on.
So, a lot of us are not satisfied in our lives. How much are we grateful to Allah, subhanahu wa ta'ala, for what He has given at the moment? And that's really important. We get stressed out, we're always trying to do better for ourselves, and sometimes we don't get that job promotion, we don't get the interview, we don't get things, but there's always hikmah in everything that Allah does.
Absolutely.
For us. So,
Absolutely.
how do we manage that, and do we stress ourselves out about it? How much do we accept what is written for us?
Mm-hmm.
For us to manage how we deal with things in our daily lives.
Sorry, I switched off. Carry on. What's the next point? I can't help it. My brain's not with it. I think about
So,
something else.
one of the things they say, like in worldly matters, we must always look to those below us to be humbled, and not in a
Yes.
rude, like derogatory way, but in a way to make you feel
I've got more than them, basically.
appreciative of what you
Yeah.
have and what Allah has ordained for you.
We always look up, though. We don't look down.
Yeah, we
other
always
people
want
have got.
that bigger house, the better car, the kids
better
going
clothes,
to private school.
private school,
There's
yeah.
all these boxes we
money.
all want to tick, but sometimes we just have to. The only satisfaction, happiness we'll have in having and being grateful for what we are given and what's written for us. And that's something that we should aspire to do. And
Well, we don't do we?
that in ourselves, yeah. I mean, people can get really, really caught up. You're always looking at someone, you hear about someone that'll say, oh, they've got X amount of money, or they do this and they have this and they go on so many holidays a year, and and it can be
Keeping up with the
it can be
Joneses.
disheartening to anybody, but you have to say Alhamdulillah, for what you have,
Yeah,
and that's so important.
absolutely. Dawood says, why does she say you know so much? You know, you keep saying it. I've even noticed it as well. Now she's gone bright
I
red.
apologise.
Okay, it says what time? I'm not sure, but it's in the evening. I don't even know where the venue is because it's top security. But if you can leave your name and number with the producers, I'll get in touch with you. Okay? If you can bring a couple of volunteers with you, that'd be great as well. Carry on, my love, my dearest, my precious. Sarcasm in the voice. Carry on.
So, Allah Subhanahu said, so remember me and I'll remember you, and be grateful to me and do not deny me. So there's lots of verses and chapters in the Quran that say that, how we should always be grateful and always asking Allah for everything that we need, and also thanking Him for the blessings we have for at the moment in our given time and life.
As humans, we're very, very selfish, and we always, what's the one I'm saying? We're not thankful enough, are we?
No.
We always complain.
Yeah.
We always complain.
Nation of complainers.
We can't help it. It's the Brits saying it. We're just the way we are. We just complain, and we're never thankful for the things that we have. We're always ungrateful for the things we haven't got, aren't we?
Not. Yeah, I suppose.
Why haven't I got this? Why haven't I got? Why are their kids better than my kids at school? And why is this? Why
it's
is
when you
why,
do
why,
comparisons.
Yeah.
It's when we start comparing our lives against others, and that's where social media comes in as well. That's where you start to feel disheartened.
Especially on Instagram and all that.
Yeah, but they will only
Snapchat.
show you the good times.
Yeah, they never show you the bad times. They show on Instagram, you see the nice car, the nice clothes, the lifestyles, they're eating this restaurant, that restaurant. But they never show the times when they're down and out or sad, do they? So it looks like their lives are always perfect, but it's not.
I mean, how many times have we actually prayed and actually just thanked Allah for everything, all the blessings He's given us, everything that He's given you at that given time and moment? Be it your good health, be it your wealth,
Having children.
being your
That's a blessing,
having your
Some people can't
children.
have children.
Everything
We
that
complain
you have.
about our children all the time. Yet there's couples out there trying to have children and they can't have children, and we're complaining about our kids all the time.
I
I
always say, as long as there's a roof over our head, food on the table,
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. You know what?
Alhamdulillah. You say it again.
Sorry, I did say it again.
Yes, you did. Dawood,
Is
every
there
time
a
she says it
count?
right, tell me now.
Is there a count? A count on how many times I say that? But it's of. I said it again. It's obvious.
That's
We've
3
got
slaps
to count our blessings on a daily basis.
Of course, absolutely.
And Ramadan's a good time to do that, though, isn't it?
It's to reflect Ramadan, isn't it? To recheck ourselves.
Yeah, and that will always
Because we
give
do
us
act
that.
pious in Ramadan. We do our best in Ramadan. Why can't we do it after Ramadan? We seem to slip, don't we?
Well, again, people fall
Yeah.
back into their old ways.
I do. I always do.
And it's, that release that we want from it all. And it's what you put in is what you will get out
Yeah, absolutely.
of that as well.
So I'm very slow and tired today because I've had stomachache all night and all day. So I'm not my usual self. So you have to excuse me and forgive me because it's the way it is today. I'm not with it. Go on, carry on, my dear, my precious, my beloved.
Yeah. And so how else do we manage stress? There's lots and lots of du'as, that, we've been given.
Yeah.
They're in the Quran. So we should learn these du'as to help alleviate these anxiety and stresses that we have. So that's always a good way to have that, incorporate them into your daily prayers.
Yeah.
So that's always something that we should do. Also, how we call on Allah for everything that we have and need. Are we putting our tawakkul in Allah?
We don't do it. Sometimes we do. But then when we get sick, what's the first thing we do when we get sick? Ring the doctors, for example. Or when something bad happens, what we do? We ring our family member. Yeah, we don't go straight to sajda and ask Allah, do we?
That's your probably depend on your level of iman, I would say.
Yeah, no, but I'm just talking in general. We don't, do we?
Yeah, but at some point we would come back to that. I would,
I think we use Allah as a last resort. It's weird, isn't it? Okay, you're pausing there.
No,
some
I'm
people,
just thinking,
some people they go to all these levels, all these different avenues, and they ask Allah. After all these avenues dried up, then they ask Allah. This is human nature. And we should really, in reality, we should be asking Allah first to open all these avenues for us.
Yeah, make it easy for us.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a good point.
But a lot of us don't. Okay, Dawood says, soft hit with the stick you have. The mismark. He loves that. Since I told him that, he loves it. Shezeb, yes, Shezi says, peace and blessings. You love saying that, don't you, Shezi? Peace and blessings to you as well. We've got about 5 minutes left, so carry on talking. Yes, carry on talking. I can't talk.
Carry on talking. He's actually cannot talk today,
No,
so
I
that's
can't.
great. So we talked about the prayer, didn't we? And we talked about helping, the biggest thing when we're having times of stress. Oh, we've got a message.
Contemplation. Muraqabah is a great way to disconnect from the world and connect spiritually. Yes, absolutely. You're right. 100%. Carry on.
So having sabr is a big thing as well. Have we got sabr in times of stress and anxiety?
Muraqabah, I don't know what it means. What are you asking me for? I just read it. We're just asking what it means. You don't know what it means, do you? I don't know what it means. Could you just tell us what that means, please?
Yeah,
Muraqabah. I just went, it sounds good word, so I just want to say it.
No, it's probably a valid point, mashallah,
No, you made a good point.
Yeah.
Contemplation. That's probably what it means. Muraqabah is...
meditation.
Meditation, yeah, meditation. In a Sufi terminology. Okay, I got it.
Person watches over their spiritual heart and gains insight
into the heart's relation
with its creator and its surroundings.
Okay,
wow.
Great. That's probably why I never heard of it, because I'm not Sufi.
There we go. Every day's a school day.
Nice thing about contemplation, definitely.
I like that. It's nice. Okay. I'll probably look into that a bit more after.
Okay, David Garcia says, eat lots of chocolate. It's such a stress cure. And it also gives you a big belly as well, Dawood, which I've noticed on you.
So what I was saying was, do we seek sabr at times of stress? We want everything now. We can't see our way through. Sometimes you can't see that light at the end of the tunnel. You're just going through the motions. You just got so much going on. Do we actually stop? And do we actually try and have that sabr with, it's going to be okay. I need to just have patience with whatever's being thrown at me at the moment.
Well, in the world that we're living in it now, we seem to have lost our sabr. We want things immediately. Kids want the latest trains immediately. Nowadays, we have to work for the trains, get our weekly wages, then buy the trainers. For example, now kids want it immediate. They want the cars immediately. They say, a guy in a nice car, I want a car. They want it immediately. In the old days, you used to work hard for a car, save up for it, then buy it. That was sabr. That was patience. Now we don't have that anymore.
Yeah, we live in
the world that we're living now is fast.
Very click.
No such thing as sabr now.
Click technology, isn't it?
It is, and that's the way we're losing our sabr.
You push a button and it's with you the next day, isn't it?
At
your doorstep. You don't even have to leave your house.
Yeah, that's right.
It's all there.
Yeah.
So being patient, it sort of helps us deal with things in a way that should be more manageable, and having that sabr and faith in Allah as well.
Yeah, of course, absolutely. This is going to be our last show, do you know that, for another year?
Yeah, it is our last one.
Never mind.
I think he's slowly rejoicing in that.
No, because next year we can't talk about the same subjects all the time. We've got to think of different things to say.
We
always talk about
inshallah.
Family thing. Now, this is a different one, this stress thing, because I've never spoke about it before. So every year we've got to think of new subjects all the time. So we've got about 2 minutes left before we switch off.
And I think, just to close on, and I think we forget, is always remember life is short. So we need to make the best of every day and have the best outcome with every day as well. Are we the best? I always wake up and think to myself, am I the best version of myself? Have I done everything to the best of my ability for that day?
I can tell you that.
No, you don't need to. I'm not asking you. So you're not being asked. I'm just telling you.
Okay, go on, carry on. So, David says, go to the graveyard.
Yeah, life is short.
Life is short. Go to the graveyard. That's a reminder, constant reminder.
And we do get caught up in our own stress and anxiety, and that is a good reminder.
You notice how life is going so fast now. It's going so quick now. And you said life is short. You're right. Next thing you know, you're going to be 6 feet deep, and you're going to regret things that you never did.
And everything Allah gives us is a test, and so everything comes down to, how we deal with these little tests that Allah gives us. And inshallah, with everything we spoke about, we can manage our lives in a daily way better.
Mm-hmm.
And trying to put these little steps into play for them.
So, sorry, I'm so tired. The advice you give me: life is short. Make the most of it. Be the best Muslim you can be. Try your best. It's not easy being a Muslim in this society now, is it? With all the obstacles in our way, but you strive to do your best to be a better person. Don't hurt anyone physically or mentally.
With your tongue,
Yeah, especially with your tongue. We all do it.
Speech is
we all do
something
it,
we
don't
can't take
Yes.
back, isn't it?
That's one thing. Try to hurt people because, you know, life is short. Like you say, you know, try to leave this world with a good slate if you can as well.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
that way you don't have to worry about anything.
But all the good acts will hopefully, you know, they help wipe out.
And ask for forgiveness all the time from people that, you know, just ask for forgiveness from every Tom, Dick and Harry, everyone that you know. Okay, Anna Marie Garcia says, well done, Miriam, you've basically carried the show today. Riaz has provided the background noise. Okay, we're going to go now. Thank you for listening.
Thanks. Jazakallah khairan. Take
See you
care.
next
Forgive
year,
us for
inshallah.
anything as well.
Assalamu alaikum.
Welcome, salam.
Medina is often referred to as Al-Madinatul Munawwara, the enlightened city. The source of its light wasn't